For 1,000 years, the galaxy knew only peace. Treaties were signed, borders respected, and wars became ancient stories told to children. Planets once drenched in blood turned into fields of trade and diplomacy. At the center of this calm stood the Galactic Council, where every species had a voice, except for one that chose silence: humanity. After joining the Council 500 years ago, humans rarely spoke. They offered technology, opened trade routes, and built embassies across hundreds of worlds, but never asked for alliances. When offered leadership roles, they declined politely. Their fleets patrolled only their own space. Their soldiers were rarely seen. And still, their power was felt like a cold wind just outside the door. Many found their silence unsettling. They smiled but watched. They traded but never trusted. Some believed humans were waiting for something no one could name. Then, it happened. The Zarketh Dominion, one of the oldest council species, declared war. With a vote twisted by hidden deals and bribes, they claimed that humans had been secretly arming rebel colonies, manipulating trade routes, and hiding fleets. No evidence was needed. The motion passed in a wave of fear. Within hours, warships were launched toward human space. The council chamber was filled with shocked voices. Some shouted to stop the madness. Others stood silent, unsure where loyalty should lie, but the humans present did not protest. They stood, nodded once, and walked out. No emotion. No threat. Just silence. Admiral Tyrell of the Zarketh fleet smiled as his ships moved into Earth sector. He had studied human movements for decades, believed they were lazy with peace. Their military reports were empty, their colonies defenseless. Tyrell was certain he would conquer the Outer Rim before they even noticed. But on the edge of Sector 14, something strange happened. One of the Dominion ships, a cruiser named Black Lancer, went silent. No explosion. No distress call. Just vanished, then another, and another. 12 ships disappeared in 3 hours. Surveillance drones sent to investigate returned with nothing, just empty space and distorted scans. No debris, no wreckage. Only silence. Confusion turned to panic when Zarketh Command received a transmission from an unknown source. The message was short, spoken in clear galactic standard. 4 words only: "You've broken the silence." Then came the human fleets. They emerged from deep space folds, from artificial black holes, and from within moons disguised as mining outposts. Ships with no registration, no broadcast signals, only marked by a single burning symbol: a human. Eye etched in crimson over black hulls. They didn't ask questions. They didn't announce. They attacked. Zarketh command centers fell within minutes. Plasma bolts ripped through ships like paper. Energy shields the Dominion thought impenetrable flickered and died under focused human weaponry. Human soldiers, long absent from galactic view, landed silently, took control of key planets, and disappeared before enemy reinforcements arrived. On Council World, panic broke out. Ambassadors argued. Old allies begged for talks. No one could explain how humanity had built such a force in secret. Their fleets were massive, organized, and precise. Their weapons far ahead of anything seen in the last millennium. It wasn't just war, it was a demonstration, in the middle of the chaos. Ambassador Illyra from the Talari species called an emergency session. She had once served as envoy to Earth, long ago. Her words were calm, but her face was pale. "We assumed the humans had grown soft. We were wrong." They did not forget war. They studied it, alone, quietly, patiently, and now they're reminding us. The chamber went silent. Then came another transmission, this time broadcast across every council-linked system. It showed a single human commander standing in front of a star map. Her uniform was black, trimmed with deep red. Her face showed no anger, no hate, only calm confidence. Her message was simple. For 1,000 years, we honored peace. We watched, we listened, we warned no one. But now the silence is broken. If you seek war, then know this. Humanity is ready. The feed ended, leaving the stars glowing in quiet menace. Council members looked at each other. Some trembled. Some reached for old alliances. But it was already too late. Humanity had answered the call, not with fear or negotiation, but with power. And behind every movement, behind every calm voice, there was the weight of centuries. The galaxy had forgotten what it meant to challenge. Earth, now they would remember. The Zarketh Dominion had lost 32 ships in less than 2 days. Their command center on Kriva Prime had fallen silent. No reinforcements were coming back, no messages. No survivors. The sky above the planet flickered with ash and wreckage. Other galactic powers watched from a distance, frozen in disbelief. No one expected this. For 1,000 years, humans had worn a mask of calm and kindness. Now that mask had fallen, and what was beneath it was precise, brutal, and unshaken. The Galactic Council scrambled to call an emergency summit. Delegates from all major species rushed to the council spire. Inside the chamber, chaos ruled. Voices shouted over one another. Demands, accusations, fear. Everyone asked the same question. How did humans build such a force in silence? But no one had an answer. On the outer rim, a Varnak listening post detected strange energy signals, coming from an uncharted sector of space. The technicians thought it was a malfunction until they saw what followed. Dozens of human ships, black, unmarked, and moving in formation, passed through a wormhole that had been hidden for centuries. The Varnak officer tried to send a warning, but his screen turned dark. Behind him, the wall cracked open. He never got to scream. The truth was simple: humans had never stopped preparing. While the galaxy rested under false peace, Earth had turned inward. Every treaty signed, every diplomatic word spoken, had been a curtain. Behind it, they had built a silent empire, an empire of readiness. Ambassador Rian of the Avrorian stood before the council, trembling. He had visited Earth 200 years ago and seen something he couldn't explain. He once told his peers that the humans were sleeping titans. No one had listened. Now he spoke again. I warned you. Run said, voice shaking. They watched us fall into comfort, into pride, into softness. But they remained sharp. We gave up weapons. They buried theirs beneath mountains. On the main screen, the council saw a live transmission from a border world in the Elikor sector. The planet had once been a stronghold for the Zarketh fleet. Now it burned. Human soldiers, tall, armored, and silent, moved through the cities, not killing civilians, not looting, just disabling military structures, disarming enemies, and moving on. One soldier stopped to look at a camera drone hovering nearby. His helmet shifted to reveal a human face, calm and cold. Go home, he said quietly. The drone shut down instantly. Admiral Kathem of the Drakari Empire stood from his seat, his scaled hand trembling. He had never feared war. His species was born from battle. But this was something else. They are not fighting to win, Kathem growled. They are fighting to remind us who they are. The words shook the room. In a hidden war room deep beneath Earth's surface, Supreme Strategist Mira Lang stood before her commanders. They were not politicians. They were not diplomats. They were ghosts, men and women trained for wars that never came. Now stepping into the light, Mira pointed to a map glowing with signals. They underestimated our silence, she said. They thought our peace made us weak. Let's show them what peace gave us time. The room nodded in unison. On board a human dreadnought named Red Eclipse, Captain Arlen watched his monitors as enemy ships scattered in panic. The Zarketh fleet had fallen apart. What was once a proud military force was now a trail of drifting metal and terrified escape pods. Permission to engage? His lieutenant asked. Arlen shook his head. No need. Let them run. Across the galaxy, fear spread like wildfire. Species once eager for battle now stayed silent. Systems that had signed the war declaration quickly withdrew. But humanity didn't chase them. They didn't destroy civilian colonies. They didn't burn cultures. They made one thing clear. This was not about revenge. This was a message. On a council world, a young reporter asked a human diplomat why Earth hadn't spoken up before the war began. The diplomat only smiled and gave a chilling answer. Because you only listen when we raise our voice. The broadcast went viral across hundreds of planets dot in the dark corners of the galaxy. Smaller empires began deleting intelligence files on Earth. Spies were recalled. War plans were burned. The idea of conquering humanity had died in a single week. What remained was respect and fear. And deep in the heart of it all, Earth remained silent still. Their ships hovered in space. Their soldiers stood watch. Their leaders gave no speeches. The galaxy had shouted. Humanity had whispered. But the whisper had changed everything. It wasn't just war. It was the end of pretending. The stars above the shattered Zarketh fleet shimmered with silence. Debris floated across empty space like forgotten memories. Once proud Dominion banners, torn and scorched, drifted alongside wrecked ships. The war was not over, but the first. Battle had ended without mercy. On Earth, cities continued to hum with life. Children played in parks. Farmers harvested food on lunar colonies. There were no riots, no fear. The people did not panic. They had been trained for this moment for generations. It was not a surprise, it was a confirmation. Humanity had always known this day would come. In the Arctic Command Complex, buried beneath layers of reinforced earth and steel, Commander Rhea Daxon watched the galactic transmissions in silence. Her uniform bore no flashy symbols, no medals, only a single iron badge marked A001, a designation for the first alert unit ever created after Earth joined the Council. We told them peace couldn't last, she whispered. Her age shifted nervously beside her. Should we send a message to the Council? Rhea turned her head slowly. No, they sent their message with warships. We've already replied. Meanwhile, on the Council world of Varellan, the mood had changed. The great hall that once echoed with confident voices now trembled with whispers. Delegates who once mocked Earth now avoided saying the word human. No one dared speak of victory. Instead, they asked one question. What will the humans do next? Some wanted peace. Others wanted revenge before Earth grew too strong. A few radicals even suggested building a unified fleet to strike Earth directly. But when the idea reached Admiral Vasilek of the Monturi Empire, he simply laughed. You want to poke the sun again after it has already burned your hands? Back in deep space, a secret meeting took place aboard the neutral station known as Heraxis. Representatives from 7 species gathered in shadows. They wanted to know the truth, not what the Council claimed, not what rumors whispered, but how Earth had built such silent power. A man arrived without guards, no weapons, just a datapad and a calm face. His name was Elias Kane, a civilian strategist from the Earth Shadow Division. He spoke softly as he walked into the room. For the past 1,000 years, you all watched each other, Elias said. You signed treaties, built embassies, traded resources. You focused on comfort. He placed the datapad on the table. It activated, showing images of hidden space stations, deep training programs, and vast manufacturing worlds hidden behind gravity cloaks. We watched the stars. A Sorath envoy leaned forward. But why hide all of this? Because we learned from history, Elias answered. Not just ours, yours. Every piece in this galaxy ends the same way. Greed, fear, ambition. We didn't build for conquest. We built for survival. But your power, it's unmatched, said another delegate. No, Elias replied. It's just unseen. The datapad shut off. "You were never supposed to see this side of us," he said as he stood. "But now you have." And then he left. Word of the secret meeting leaked into black markets and shadow networks. Smugglers and spies spread stories of entire asteroid belts turned into hidden shipyards. Rumors said Earth had artificial moons housing planet-killer weapons. Whether it was true or not, fear turned to mythology. Humanity became a legend once. Again, across hundreds of council worlds, statues and memorials that celebrated peace were quietly taken down. Military budgets were increased. Young recruits were trained harder. But nothing could close the gap that now hung between Earth and the rest of the galaxy. On a colony world called Anchorus, a group of alien teenagers debated the war. One said humans were monsters. Another called them protectors. But a third one, silent until now, spoke with clarity. "They are what we would have been if we never stopped preparing." That thought stayed with them. In orbit above Earth, the main defense fleet ran silent drills. Ships rotated positions. Old AI cores reawakened from cold sleep. These were not new programs. They were old ghosts stored for centuries. Programs written when Earth was still united by the fear of extinction. General Mira Lang stood at the bridge of the Eidolon, watching stars blink like distant eyes. "We warned them," she said. Her second-in-command nodded. "They thought peace made us harmless. They forgot peace gave us time. And time was what humanity had used better than anyone else in the galaxy." Back at the council, a final motion was proposed. Send an envoy to Earth. Ask for peace. Apologize. Rebuild trust. The vote was divided. Many feared it was too late. But in the end, the motion passed by a narrow margin. A single ship was chosen. It flew toward Earth under a flag of white and silver. It arrived in human space within 3 days. It sent greetings. No answer came. Then a single message blinked on its screen. From deep within Earth's command grid, "We are listening." The envoy ship hovered above Earth's orbit, motionless. Its crew waited for days. They expected red carpets, formal welcomes, a show of diplomacy. But there was nothing. No docking signal. No boarding instructions. Only that one message, cold and controlled. "We are listening." Inside the ship, Ambassador Vec turned to his assistant. His 4 pale eyes blinked slowly, uncertain. "They don't trust us," he said. "They shouldn't," the assistant replied. Vek sighed and activated the transmission screen. His voice trembled, though he tried to hide it. "To the leaders of Earth, we come in peace. The Council acted in fear, not with reason. We regret our decision. We ask for a path forward." He waited. Seconds passed. Then minutes. Then an hour. The stars outside did not move. Then the screen flickered, and a face appeared. Human. A woman with short silver hair and clear gray eyes. Her uniform bore no decorations, but her presence held. Wait. She didn't smile. She didn't blink. She simply stared into the ambassador's soul. "We accept your regret," she said. "But the path forward will not be easy." Vec bowed his head. "We understand." "No," she said, "you don't." She leaned forward slightly. "You shattered a peace we built in silence. You thought we were slow, soft, weak. Now you fear what you awakened, and fear does not deserve comfort. It earns consequence." Her words hit harder than weapons. The transmission ended. The ambassador sat in silence, knowing the message wasn't only for him. It would be recorded, broadcast, discussed, and feared. On Earth, governments from old nations now worked as one. There were no borders anymore, just functions. The Department of Silence managed galactic diplomacy. The Department of Shadows handled intelligence. The Department of Defense hadn't fired a weapon in 2 centuries until now, and it hadn't lost a single one. On Titan, one of Saturn's moons, a hidden command station buzzed to life. Its systems had slept for 900 years, powered by fusion cores that never decayed. Massive doors opened beneath ice fields, revealing 25 dreadnoughts kept in frozen hibernation. Each ship bore names written in old human languages, names like Vengeance, Guardian, Truth Reborn, and Never Again, the galaxy had thought. These names were myths. They were not. They were promises. General Mira Lang stood before a holomap showing all active fleets. She tapped several glowing red points that marked hostile council members who had supported the Zarketh war call. Her voice was calm. No invasions, no planetary strikes, only precision. Her commanders nodded. Target communications. Disable. Weapons, leave them with silence. Silence. That word again. Not destruction. Not conquest. Just the return of fear. In deep space, the human ship Silent Storm approached a research outpost belonging to the Trilon people. The station's defenses were already powered down. Inside, scientists waited in fear. The humans boarded without force, no guns raised. They simply walked through the halls, removed encrypted files, disabled comms, and left a note on the main screen. Next time, choose your vote more wisely. And they vanished. Across the galaxy, this pattern continued. Humanity wasn't taking territory, it was taking control. They shut down wormholes, used for trade. They hacked entire navigation grids and made enemy ships spin in circles. They turned off gravity on military bases from light years away. They didn't speak. They didn't brag. They only acted. Meanwhile, among common people, something strange began happening. Non-human citizens began asking questions, real questions. Why did the Council attack Earth first? Why was peace shattered? Why did humanity never retaliate fully, even now? Some species had only ever seen humans on screens. Now they viewed them differently. Not as monsters, but as guardians with teeth. One young girl from the Kalari species posted a holoclip online. In it, she cried as she held a human-made book. Her brother had died in the Zarketh War. She blamed the Council, not Earth. They didn't start this, she said. But they knew how to finish it. Her video was shared across 10 million systems in one day. Public opinion shifted. Back in council chambers, old alliances began to crumble. Some leaders resigned. Others fled. A few vanished entirely. In their place, new voices rose, leaders who wanted peace without lies. Earth did not demand tribute, it did not demand apologies, it only required one thing. Never again. On the 6th day after the war began, Earth sent one final message to all members of the Galactic Council. It was simple. One line: trust is earned in silence and lost in noise. There were no threats, no conditions. Just a reminder, and the galaxy listened. Because now they knew humanity hadn't just survived. The last 1,000 years. It had mastered them. Council space felt different now. Even though many of the same leaders sat in their places, they no longer looked proud. They no longer argued about influence or trade routes. Instead, they whispered, watched, waited. The very mention of Earth was enough to silence the room. Old enemies turned quiet. Old allies turned uncertain. Even the Council guards, once decorated warriors of 1,000 species, tightened their grips on their weapons every time a human diplomat walked past. But Earth didn't celebrate. There were no banners on their worlds. No speeches from their leaders. No parades. They had proven their strength. But they had not done it for pride. They did it for survival. High above the planet Aluros, 3 human ships held position over a former Zarketh base. The base commander, an old veteran named Kesvarn, expected destruction. He prepared his troops for death. But the humans didn't fire. Instead, they sent a single boarding crew, 12 soldiers. Unarmed. They walked through the base, examined data systems, asked questions calmly, and then left. On their way out, one of them placed a small black device in the command room. Kesvarn asked what it was. The soldier answered quietly, it records betrayal. Then they vanished into orbit. That same day, something unexpected happened across hundreds of Council-controlled systems. Earth's old messages, once dismissed as harmless, reappeared. On the networks, messages of warning, of peace, of preparation. Clips from hundreds of years ago, showing humans urging the Council to keep training, to remain watchful. Back then, they had been ignored. Now, they were seen for what they were, warnings. On the dark side of Earth's moon, a structure known only to a few came online. The Obsidian Vault. No outsider had ever seen it. Not even most humans knew it existed. Inside, Earth's oldest war records were kept, encrypted and preserved. War simulations, alien attack predictions. Counter strategies for every known species. One by one, its data streams lit up. Not for use. For memory. Earth wasn't preparing for a second wave. It was preserving what had already been won. Not to flex power, but to remember why they had it. At the same time, something shifted in the galaxy that hadn't happened in centuries. Respect. A quiet respect began to grow around the name human. Teachers in far colonies now told their students to study Earth history. Alien engineers began examining human ship designs. Old war colleges reopened courses about Terran tactics. It wasn't fear alone anymore. It was curiosity. Because if humanity had built such a defense in silence, what else were they capable of? On board the diplomatic ship Candlelight, a human envoy named Idris Vale met with representatives of 5 major races. They came not to apologize, but to understand. One asked, "Why didn't you strike harder? You could have taken more." Idris shook his head. "That's the difference between power and dominance," he replied. "We never wanted to rule. We wanted to survive." Another delegate asked, "And now?" "Now," Idris said, "we want the galaxy to remember this moment and learn from it." The message was clear. Humanity had nothing left to prove. They only wanted to be left alone. But they would never be caught off guard again. On a distant world named Kalis, a monument was quietly unveiled. It was not made by humans, but by the Gervani people. It showed a human soldier standing with one hand extended, not in attack, but in warning. The base of the statue read, "Respect the silence. Fear what breaks it." It became the most visited place on the planet. And as more systems quietly erased their war plans, pulled back their fleets, and started diplomatic channels with Earth, one truth became unshakable. Peace had returned, but it was no longer the soft peace of ignorance. It was a hard-earned peace. Forged not in words, but in silence, patience, and precise fire. Humanity had set the tone, and the galaxy had listened. Yet far beyond known space, on the edge of the void, old machines stirred. Not council-built, not human, something else. Something ancient, forgotten. They had watched the war unfold from behind cold systems and dark stars. Now, they calculated again, watched again. Waited. Because not all threats were foolish like the Zarketh. Some were worse. And even humanity, for all its silence and strength, might soon face something that did not fear them at all. But Earth wasn't afraid. They were prepared. They always had been. 3 months had passed since the Zarketh War ended. The galaxy had not seen another fleet rise. The Council had not dared vote against Earth again. No new war declarations. No invasions. Just silence. But deep beyond the galactic rim, something old awakened. Not Zarketh. Not Council-born. Not even known to the oldest species. They were machines. Cold. Silent. Ancient. Buried inside collapsed stars and black dwarf systems. They had remained still for millennia. Built before the Council. Before Earth. Before recorded time. Their name was never spoken, because no one had survived long enough to give them one. They simply returned. They moved with no messages. No diplomacy. No mercy. Their first attack came without warning. A research colony in the Yuma sector vanished in seconds. Not a sound, Not a distress call. Just black silence where once a planet lived. The council watched in horror as recordings showed the sky tearing open and long, thin machines pouring down like liquid knives. Nothing resisted, nothing escaped, and yet, Earth did not panic. In the Arctic Command Complex, Commander Rhea Daxon stood in front of her war board. The machines were advancing fast, 7 planets lost, 12 more under siege. Council fleets scrambled, already shattered by past mistakes, but Earth stood still. Rhea turned to her officers. It's time. They knew what she meant. Across the Sol system, protocols locked for centuries were finally activated. Deep beneath Mars, long-range gravity cannons powered up. On Venus, stealth satellites blinked awake. Around Jupiter, fleets hidden within asteroid belts began to move. Old War AI systems sensed instantly, with no hesitation, and from Earth's South Pole, a final signal was sent. The Eye of Orion opened. It was Earth's oldest weapon, never fired. Powered by a neutron star, cloaked in myth, known only to 5 living humans. It was never designed to attack fellow species. It was designed for this. In council chambers, alien leaders screamed for help. Their fleets were dust. Their worlds turned dark. They begged Earth to defend them, but Earth did not answer right away. It waited. Waited as its enemies begged. Waited as the machines advanced further. Then, a voice came, not from Earth, but from the machine fleet. It spoke one word in perfect. Galactic Standard, observe. And then, in view of over 50 alien systems, they sent their ships toward Earth. Thousands. Fast. Precise. Perfect. Admiral, Tyrant of the Council Defense Corps, watched the feed in horror. They're not attacking, he said. They're dissecting humanity. Finally answered. A fleet of black dreadnoughts blinked into existence above Earth orbit. They didn't broadcast threats. They didn't ask for terms. They simply moved. In rows. In silence. In coordination so perfect that council engineers stared in disbelief. Then, the Eidolon fired first. A red beam crossed space, curved by artificial gravity, and split one of the ancient machine ships in half. Not exploded. Not shattered. Split clean as glass. Then came the storm. Humanity's response was not loud. It was art. Waves of weapons, unknown to the rest of the galaxy, flowed in timed bursts. Gravity was used as a weapon. Quantum fire folded space itself. And in the middle of it all, Earth's ships never slowed, never drifted, never missed. They weren't fighting for the galaxy. They were demonstrating again. The machine fleet hesitated. For the first time in their existence, they hesitated. Because what they saw was not just military power. It was mastery of war. One of the last remaining machines turned to flee. It didn't make it. Earth's stealth fleet caught it in deep space and erased it without sound. When it ended, Earth sent one final message. Not to the Council. Not to allies. To everyone. Across every system, screens blinked once. A human commander appeared, Mira Lang. She spoke only once. Do not mistake our silence for peace. We do not sleep, we remember. The feed cut. And the stars returned to quiet. The Council disbanded its war programs. Trade resumed. But this time, humanity was not feared blindly. They were respected deeply. For the first time in history, peace had a backbone. A peace no longer built on paper. It was built on the knowledge that one species had prepared when no one else had. Not to rule, not to conquer, but to endure. To protect. To remind the galaxy that the ones who laugh quietly may be the ones who win the loudest.